Tuesday edition of PFT Live. We spent a lot of the first segment talking about CeeDee Lamb's quest for a contract he has earned and fully deserves in Dallas. The challenge becomes, first, speaking the right language, because there's the BS crap that we all see that the high-end receivers really aren't earning, and then there's the real numbers, the real structure, the reality of the contract, and then you have to figure out a middle ground once you get on the same page. And I'd say getting on the same page is the biggest challenge. Let's start with the best receiver right now who is due a new contract, and that's Justin Jefferson of the Vikings. They tried to do it last year before the regular season started. At one point, I was fishing around about Jefferson after we had him on the show at the Super Bowl, and I was poking around with some folks I know, and at some point somebody said to me, do you know how much he was offered last year, what he turned down? And Shefty threw out that $30 million per year number. That doesn't come from Jefferson's camp. That comes from the team. And this is an effort by the team to kind of very gently paint him as wanting too much. And the issue isn't the dollars. It's the structure. Hey, we offer him $30 million per year. Right, but if you only guarantee the first year of it, I mean, that's the problem with the Vikings. They broke from that with T.J. Hawkinson to a certain extent. They did it for Kirk Cousins in the past. They need to be willing to fully guarantee a significant chunk of money to Justin Jefferson. You got to treat him like a quarterback. If you're going to keep this guy and you're going to build your team around him, as you should, and he's a guy you can trust to catch any ball that's thrown his way, and he's going to be the centerpiece of your offense, and you were competitive last year without him, how much better will you be this year with him, regardless of who the quarterback is? They need to get this done. And you know what happened, Chris? The first post I wrote, it was one of the most trafficked items we had that week. After the salary cap went up, just got more expensive. Whatever he turned down before, he's going to turn down 13.6% more now because the cap skyrocketed to $255.4 million. So they got a problem here. And I don't know how they go about resolving it.
Well, I could tell you how. I mean, sign him up. Sign him up for a long-term deal, right? I mean, I know we're supposed to do, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are they to get it done before the season? I'm going to give it a 10.
Supposed to do a lot of things.
I'm going to give it a 10, though. I think it's going to get done, right? They'll figure it out. With Justin Jefferson, I think there's two things. One, he's awesome. Two, you said it right. He catches everything. He's dependable as hell, right? The other thing is, too, we're getting into an era here where receivers and Justin Jefferson, the way he works and how dedicated he is, they last a long time. So this could be more than a 3-year deal. You could make it a 5-year deal and maybe soften the blow with how you have the averages and how you get the money spread out there. But I don't see how they don't do this, how they don't get it done before the year. They're just waiting to cause issues if they don't get it done. And he is clearly the best player on their team and definitely one of the 2 or 3 best receivers in football. So I'm going to say it's a 10 that this one gets done.
We are both card-carrying members of the Justin Jefferson fan club. I might be the unofficial president, and I say that because I'm going to try to thread another needle here. And I'm not suggesting that he was malingering in any way. Why come back last year until you're truly and completely 100% when you don't have your long-term security? I support that 1,000%. If you're waiting for the second contract you've earned and you have an injury that keeps you anything below 100%, you do not play until you're 100%, because I would have done it if I had my security. But the injury risk is on me. I'm in year 4 of my contract. I don't have my long-term deal. He suffered that hamstring strain against the Chiefs in week 5. He was gone for a long time. And
he still had 1,000 yards and averaged 15 yards a catch. And, I mean, it's incredible.
I have no problem with him staying away until he was truly and completely 100%.
I know you did. Right.
I think he would have been back sooner if he would have had his deal, because he would have risked aggravating the hamstring in order to come back and earn the money. So, you know what, Vikings, and you can't regret. I talked about earlier how I don't like to live in regret. Ziggy and Mark Wilf, do not live in regret on this. Yeah, you could have got him cheaper last year. Oh, well, you didn't. The price went up. You know that house you wanted to buy last year and you screwed around? The price of that house went up. So if you want it now, you got to pay for it. And you can't worry about what it would have cost you last year. You got last year at the low number in year 4 of his contract. This year, the price goes up. And you just got to accept it. And they let Kirk Cousins walk away. I think they kind of want. In hindsight, I really do think they were kind of like, oh, what a shame. Don't go.
Right.
Don't go. Close the door. Don't go. Move the furniture in front of it. Don't go. Please don't go. Come back anytime. We don't really mean that. But if they're going to go rookie quarterback and get the fans to hope that it's going to work, well, one way to help that rookie quarterback thrive, whoever they trade up to get.
That's right.
Or maybe stay put. I saw a suggestion in one of the newspapers, maybe they stay put and Michael Penix falls to them at 11.
Definitely.
I doubt that's going to happen.
It could.
But
yeah,
whoever they get, that guy's going to be better with Justin Jefferson out there. So, they're going to give up draft capital to get their quarterback. They got to give up cash to keep their receiver. Let's break that mold of Randy Moss, traded. Percy Harvin, traded. Stephon Diggs, traded. Let's pair Jefferson with this young quarterback, slap them together, and see what you can do for the next 4 or 5 years. So I agree with you. I'd say it's 9.5 because I'm accounting for, and again, I say this respectfully, I'm accounting for the possibility that they're going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
So that's where the 0.5 comes from.
I say this respectfully as I shit on you and 3 other people today.
I'm just saying there's a chance they might decide to look at the eclipse.
Yeah.
And you have to always factor in the chance that somebody that you think is reasonably smart is going to be dumb enough to look at the eclipse.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to be dumb enough to look at the eclipse.
Yeah, maybe they are. You're right. But okay, so we're in agreement there. I think so. I mean, we know how we both agree it's necessity.
10.
Yep, necessity for Minnesota to get that done for a lot of reasons.
All right, Brandon Aiyuk, scale of 1 to 10. Since I failed with the setup earlier, as you somewhat tactfully pointed out. Scale of 1 to 10, Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers getting a deal done before the start of the season.
This one's interesting here. I don't know where this is going to go, really. I mean, again, the 49ers, it's Kittle, it's Deebo Samuel, right? It's McCaffrey, it's Trent Williams. These are all guys on the offensive side of the ball that are making top-of-the-market money. Can they pay another receiver that? That's where I look at it. Again, it kind of goes back into the balancing act. We talked about CeeDee Lamb. Hey, it's a first-rounder. He's done very good, right? Is it superstar good this whole time? No. This was clearly his best year of his career. Do I think he's in the class of those guys that we continue to mention? No, I do not think he's there, right? So what is that number he's asking for? How do the 49ers value him? They got Deebo, they got Kittle, they got other guys too. So this is one where I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to go 50-50 here. I don't know where this goes right now. So I'm only going to go 5 here, Mike.
I'm going to go 7.5. Here's why.
Okay.
I think this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if the 49ers, since we're insulting front offices throughout the NFL this morning, the 49ers, let's assume they're smart enough to realize how they've done things in the past and learn from how they've done things in the past. Because I think that Brandon Aiyuk will hold out, just like Nick Bosa did last year, and push it to the limit, and eventually they'll cave and they'll give him the contract after he proves his point by holding out. And then what happens? He's missed everything, and he's not going to be as good this year.
Yeah.
Just like
What
Nick
happened with
Bosa
Deebo?
wasn't as good, and
Deebo,
Deebo
too.
Samuel wasn't as good.
Right.
So learn from that, Jed York. Learn from that. Quit being stubborn. Quit being cheap. Pay the guy now because you're going to pay him later. At some point, the coach that you've entrusted your team to is going to prevail upon you to pay the guy after he holds out and he's not ready to go. So learn from it and get it done now because you're going to get it done later.
What's the sweet spot? Like, first off, the scenario I brought up before, right? Where if I was the 49ers or the Cowboys and we were trying to figure this out, I'd go ahead. Find a trade. Tell me a team that's going to trade you what we want, but they're also going to pay you what you want too, right? Are you that? I would call both of their bluffs if I'm both of those teams. I would. I'd go ahead, see what it's out there. If you can get a first rounder and get a big contract like A.J. Brown did, then so be it, and we'll see you later, or maybe we'll match it or give you a little bit better, and we'll move on. But that's, to me, where this is going to be interesting. And so I ask you, what's the sweet spot for Aiyuk, Mike? Like in your eyes, right? When we're talking about, okay, let's just say the top of the market receivers really realistically making like $25 million a year, right? When we take away the bull crap from Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill and all that. Cooper Kupp's making 26.7. His deal was pretty real, right? Because it was only a 3 or 4. It was a 3-year deal, I think, if I remember correctly.
Right. It was an extension of the.
Right.
There's still a little BS.
A little BS to it, right? But what do you think? What's that sweet spot?
Let's say the magic number right now.
Yeah.
Let's say the magic number right now is just. Let's say it's 26.
Okay.
Just to have a number.
Yeah.
Let's say the real value is 26.
Right.
Well, the problem is the receiver position is becoming like the running back position in that you can find guys anywhere. You can find guys in the draft who can come in and do well. There's no guarantee that guy you draft is going to do well, but the success rate is higher than it's been because so many guys are NFL ready. There's a handful that are above and beyond whatever the others can do, but this guy was a second-team All-Pro. He had his career year, and you traded up in round 1 to get him. And if you hadn't, he'd be a member of the Green Bay Packers right now, and Jordan Love wouldn't be. That's a fact. They wanted Justin Jefferson. He was gone. They wanted Brandon Aiyuk. The 49ers jumped the Packers to get him, and that's when they moved up to get Jordan Love. So they've used a first-round pick. This gets back to my whole lottery ticket analogy. You've got a winning lottery ticket. You got to pay the guy. Deebo Samuel's average is 23.8, and we know, again, that's a little fugazi. I think that something in the neighborhood right now, given the current market and the salary cap, something in the neighborhood of that 23 or 24 would be fair and doable when you consider the cap's going to keep going up. And I think that after this year, Deebo's probably on the endangered species list. George Kittle is as well.
Yeah.
As I said earlier in the offseason, I really think they want to hold this all together for one more year with Kittle and Aiyuk and Deebo and Brock Purdy not being able to get a second contract and just kind of load it up one more year and go for it and then figure it out next year. They don't want to have to get rid of one of those guys this year. But there's no way Aiyuk is going to play for that reduced number. He'll hold out, I predict, and they'll eventually pay him anyway. Just do it now. But I think something in the range of 23 to 24. And you can do it. You can take that $14 million that he's due to make this year, and you can do the extension, and you can cook something up that looks like 24 but is really 20 or 21.
Yep.
You can do that and say, hey, he's getting $24 million a year. That's a pretty good deal. He's not Justin Jefferson. He's not Tyreek Hill. He's not Devontae Adams, but he's close enough. And this is what we're going to pay him. Oh, and he's better than the guy we gave 23.8 to.
Yeah, listen.
Right now,
I definitely think that's a possibility. I hear what you're saying there all the way. I do. I'm gonna be interested. Like you said, I do think it's coming to that point where some of these guys might be coming to the end of the shelf life. The 49ers, this Super Bowl team, right? They got to start thinking like, hey, we're gonna have to start changing out these pieces here at some point. I think you named the right guys on the endangered species list. This Aiyuk thing is going to be interesting. I would think, right? And again, I have no inside knowledge, but I just off the top of my head, 23 or 24, I would feel like is a little expensive for Brandon Aiyuk. That's how I would feel. I'm not saying I'm right. And I guess what I'm saying is I feel like the 49ers would feel that way too, but we'll see. But that's certainly something to watch for here as we go through the offseason.
Something I need to do, and I'm reluctant to write this check and make this commitment, but what I need to do is get those top 5-7 receivers and have
really break it
two
down.
Columns.
Yeah.
2 columns.
Yeah.
And I think I've already done that as the deals came out. So it may not take as much effort as I'm,
you usually break them down like that in your articles, right?
But I may take the overthecap.com number graphic that we've been showing and then have the other column which shows what it's really worth, and that may be instructive to trying to figure this out. But look, here's the bottom line. As I said earlier, the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets. If Brandon Aiyuk waits, if the 49ers wait, more accurately, and you get these other deals done, the price is going to go up. And that leads us to the next one, the Bengals and Jamar Chase, who is deliberately waiting to see what Justin Jefferson does so he can jump him. So it's going to be more expensive for the Bengals the longer they wait because he's waiting for Justin Jefferson. What's your likelihood, 1 to 10, that Chase gets his deal before the season starts? He's only entering year 4, not 5. So it's harder to think about him holding out, but who knows?
I think it's going to go. I think it's. I don't want to say definite. Like I gave Justin Jefferson a 10. I don't think this is far off. I'm going to go 9.5 here with Jamar Chase. I don't think it's – I mean, again, he's just too special. And I think, like, to your point, and they've shown us a little history here of even what they did with Joe Burrow, I don't think they're going to wait and let this get out of hand, right? I'd be scared to death, right? Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow missed a year. The Bengals, right, are going to be a motivated football team. They know they're good, and they didn't get to, show their best stuff last year because of injuries and stuff like that. I'd be worried that this is a watch out for the Bengals year. Jamar Chase gets 1,900 yards, and now you got to pay him way more than every other receiver in football. So I feel like his deal, Justin Jefferson, they're almost going to be in cahoots there. They're just waiting for each other, and they want to one-up each other and just say they're the title holder. But I still think this is inevitable and will get done here before the season. So I'm 9.5, Mike.
By the way, cahoots, a word that is not nearly used as much as it should be. Well done.
Hey, thank you.
You really do have some good words today.
Hey,
I like it.
I'm hot,
I'm impressed.
Baby. Woo! Yeah,
all right.
Hot.
I'll agree with you on Chase. This has to get done. It will get done. He is the kind of player you don't screw around with. This is a foundational guy. They didn't screw around with Joe Burrow. They're not going to screw around with Jamar Chase. They have realized if you have nice things, you have to buy insurance. You have to pay. You have to have a nice house.
That's right.
If you have a nice house, you got to have nice furniture. If you have nice furniture, you need to build a nice house. They got some great pieces to this team. They got to do things accordingly to make sure they stick around. Also on the Bengals, T. Higgins, franchise tagged at $21.8 million for this year. Likelihood of the Bengals doing a long-term deal with him, scale of 1 to 10.
I'm going to give that a 0.5, right? I mean, I gave Jamar Chase the 9.5. The 0.5 I have of it not happening this year would be that 0.5 then going to T. Higgins, which I don't think is very likely, and him getting a huge piece of the pie. No, I think this is almost like you said with the 49ers type of thing. Let's one more year. Let's see if we can buy a little time, maybe figure out a way. But if not, then maybe we'll have to move on. But let's just try to keep the band together here one more year and buy ourselves some time. But I don't think like long-term contracts happening before the season. I don't see that happening.
The Bengals have a long history of using the franchise tag, keeping the guy for a year, and then he's just gone.
Yeah.
They did that with the safety, Jesse Bates.
Yes, right.
Didn't they tag him for 1 year, and then he's just gone.
Right.
There may be one guy that they signed to a long-term deal after they tagged him, but their history has been tag one time, gone. And look, they're what is it? Higgins wants a trade or has requested a trade. No one has called the Bengals about trying to trade for T. Higgins. There's Bills fans out there that are hoping the Bills, but they're not going to do that to backfill Stephon Diggs. It's going to be a cap disaster. And I think there is just some. I think there's some curiosity to see if T. Higgins can replicate what he does without Jamar Chase. But you know what? We saw him in that Vikings game on a Saturday. Looking pretty damn good when Jamar Chase was injured. So if you're banking on T. Higgins not being a number one receiver, I think you're at the wrong bank. All right, Lions and Amon-Ra St. Brown. He also is eligible for an extension. He was a low-round pick, obsessed with proving everyone wrong, and he has. What do you think the chances are of him getting a long-term deal? There was a report in early March.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
were close on a deal that would
Right.
pay him $26 to $28 million per year. Of course, that's surely extension when you take the Fugazi last year of a whatever round, 6th round. Was he a 6th round or 4th round or low round pick? And it's 26, 28. Real's going to be 23, 24 probably. Scale of 1 to 10, do they get it done?
Yeah, I do. I think this is really likely. Like it's not a 10 or a 9.5, but I'm gonna give it a 9. One, I think he embodies what they want up there. He's a killer. He's tough. He's gritty, right? He works hard. He's chippy. He wants to bite kneecaps off. He fits the Detroit Lions. That's what he is. He can do everything. They're an offense with Ben Johnson that understands how to use route runners. He's a special route runner, right? And I think too, Mike, the fact that, hey, he knows he's damn good. I think he's a pretty realistic person to know, like, wait, I'm not Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or that guy. And the fact that he's a low round pick, like you were explaining a second ago, I think that'll make him even more like, okay, I'm not going to worry about every last penny here. Yeah, I wanted $26 million a year. Okay, I'll settle for $25.5. That's good. Deal, guys. Let's move on. And I feel like that'll happen there in Detroit.
He's due to make $3.36 million this year because of the procedure that escalates the value of that final year for a mid-round pick who has come in and done very well. So 3.36, he'll get a lot more than that if they get this deal done. And look, this gets back to one of the basic strategies I think every NFL team needs to employ. When you have a guy who comes in, defies the odds, busts his ass, does everything we've asked, and thrives, you've got to reward him because everybody else sees it. And it becomes the example. And this is true in any workplace. Hey, look, this is the guy who's getting it done. And he's doing all the things we want. And he's showing up late. He's showing up early and he's staying late. He's not showing up late and leaving early. He's showing up early and staying late. He's busted his ass. He's done this, he's done that, he's done that. And if you do the same things that he's doing, you will get your reward too. Yeah. That was one of the things I think that made it so hard for Daniel Snyder to understand how to run a team. He would throw money at guys from other teams, and he would be less inclined to take care of his own guys, like a Kirk Cousins,
right,
who was there and checked all the boxes and did everything he was supposed to do, earned the starting job, and they didn't want to pay him. They want to pay somebody else instead. So I think the Lions are smart enough as they mature into a team that has gone from being the hunter to the hunted. This is a guy who's helped you get to this point. You have to reward him. So I agree with you. I think they'll get it done. They need to get it done, and they need to build around Amon-Ra St. Brown moving forward. All right, let's take a break. When we return, new Patriots coach Gerard Mayo keeps it real when it comes to the rebuild the team is currently engaged in. That's next here on PFT Live. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.